The moon hung low over Umuahia, casting long shadows across Chief Obele's mansion. Inside, the chief feasted, surrounded by politicians, contractors, and soldiers who laughed too loudly and drank too much. His enemies feared him, and his allies needed him, or so he believed. But outside those tall iron gates, a storm was gathering. Its name was Adeyeze. Since her return, she had moved with patience, like a hunter stalking prey. Obele's pride was his shield, but it was also his weakness. He thought no one could touch him. Adeyeze intended to prove him wrong. Her first strike was subtle. Through the NGO, she unearthed documents linking Obele to illegal land grabs, lands stolen from poor farmers under the guise of development projects. The evidence was irrefutable. But Adeyeze didn't release it immediately. Instead, she fed it in whispers to the right ears: activists, journalists, rival politicians who hated Obele but lacked proof. Soon, the first cracks appeared. At a state assembly meeting, a young journalist stood and questioned Obele's ownership of farmlands once belonging to the Okonkwo family. Obele laughed it off, calling it fake news, but sweat gathered beneath his cap. Then came the second strike. Adeyeze hired trusted youths to pose as traders and workers around Obele's estate. They gathered information quietly: his routines, his mistresses, his secret accounts, even the names of officials he bribed. Piece by piece, she was building a net he could not escape. But Adeyeze was not done. The final piece of her trap had to be personal. One evening, she requested to meet Obele in his mansion under the pretense of discussing a partnership between her NGO and his office. Obele, curious but wary, agreed. When Adeyeze walked into the grand sitting room, her steps calm, her head high, the chief studied her carefully. She was no longer the child he crushed. She was a woman who radiated quiet power. They exchanged pleasantries, but Adeyeze's eyes never softened. At last she leaned forward, her words sharp as blades. "Chief," she said, her voice steady, "a man can build his wealth on the bones of others. But sooner or later, the dead rise to collect their debts." Obele's smile faltered. "What are you implying, young woman?" Adeyeze's lips curved into a cold half-smile. "I'm not implying, Chief. I'm promising." With that, she rose, leaving behind a single envelope on the glass table. Inside were copies of incriminating documents, just enough to rattle him, not enough